What's up? What's up? Oh, we made it. We're here. So here's the deal. A lot of you guys have probably seen the video. You've obviously, if you're into these, if you're on Dad with a Phone, you've definitely seen the video because we posted it on our Facebook. Our Casey did. We're gonna talk about this case that happened down in Killeen, Texas, where an argument happens in the middle of the street. One guy has a shotgun, the other guy has zero, doesn't look like any weapons, and there's a cold-blooded killing that takes place. And the deal is now the case has been, no charges were filed by the grand jury. So we have a special guest today, and that guest actually was involved in this case. So, to my knowledge, they haven't talked to anyone else. And so they're talking to Dad with the Phone first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to warn you right now that I'm going to show the raw video footage of this thing. It is very graphic, and you're basically going to witness a murder take place. Then I'm going to play some news clips of the outcome of this case. Then I'm going to come back and we're going to call up the special guest who was involved in this case. And so you're gonna get some. I mean, the video is not easy to watch if you're faint at heart or you have a. It's not easy. So we're gonna again. I'm about to show that video. So if you don't want to watch this, leave now, and come back if you want to hear the people that were there on the ground and kind of saw the layout of the scene and stuff. So thanks for joining, and this video is going to start hopefully. Oops, let's try that again. Oh, now we'll go. So what you've just watched is a video, the raw video. A lot of people look at that raw video and they have a lot of different conclusions about it. One, they say, there's a lot of stuff that's come out now. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to pull in some other videos that we've got here. And, one of these videos is, let's do, bam.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
Kill that for a second. Let's just do it.
We begin tonight with breaking news. No charges have been filed in the shooting death of Killeen resident Curtis Shelley.
Shelley was shot and killed in November of 2017 by a neighbor following an argument, and the crime was caught on camera. Channel 6 News reporter Amani Payne has been following this story for the past 2 years. She joins us now with the very latest. Hi, Amani.
Chris and Leslie, District Attorney Henry Garza says a grand jury met today, looked over the case, and decided not to return an indictment in connection with the death of Curtis Shelley. 2 years after his death, his family says this is certainly not the outcome they were hoping for. Now, here's a look at some exclusive video of the crime back in November 2017. Shelley and his neighbor were arguing when that neighbor shot and killed Shelley. An investigation revealed that the suspect is the son of a Killeen police officer, and that's when the case was turned over to the Texas Rangers for review. Shelley's family says they feel like the suspect got away with murder. They don't understand why the gunman wasn't charged with anything when the shooting was captured on film. They say they are devastated and have no closure.
He prayed him like he was a deer and then shot him like he was a deer. And it's just disgusting that absolutely nothing happened to him.
She goes on to say that she feels the suspect got off because of his ties to the Killeen Police Department. She also says that if the roles were reversed, she feels that Shelley would have been charged. We will have much more on this story and even more family reaction coming up tonight at 10. Chris and Leslie.
Out a microphone, but now I got a microphone. But you'll just never know what I said there. No, it's tough to look at that and know that that guy got off. It's tough. It's tough. I don't understand it. I sure as heck, when I look at that video, know that that guy had some sort of real connections, because he got away with murder and he did it on video. We're about to talk to somebody that knows probably more about this case than anyone that I know. If they answer.
Hey there.
Hey, you answered.
I did.
Hey, we are live, so you just so you know. Well, this is a surprise. I didn't know you were tied to this case so closely.
Yeah, just a little bit. Some of them you just remember, some stick with you, so you just remember the cases and the names and
So
kind of wonder what happens.
can you tell me how you're involved in this?
Sure. Well, it was just where I came into contact with Curtis was I worked for a mortuary removal service in Texas when we were stationed there. So what we did was we worked on behalf of the Justice of the Peace because they didn't have a county coroner in that county. So we acted as the coroner's office by doing the physical transfer and removal of the decedent. So that night happened to be a busy night. We were already out in Killeen because we were based in Temple. So that's probably about 15 miles, maybe, if you will, difference. We got the call that, and we don't know, sometimes we don't know the name. We don't know much of anything. They just call it a police call. So they said we had a police call at Darnell, but we also had a police call at a residence, and we're sending someone else at another residence. So we were kind of going every which way. And they said, hey, the other police call's on Darnell. And because I had a military ID, that made things faster to be able to get on base. So they're like, you guys go. So we head over to base, and I'm thinking it's a soldier, but what happened is they take civilian people there as well because it's a close trauma center and it's a teaching hospital as well. So they had taken him to operating room number 3, and we had to go up there with our equipment, meaning our cot, our gurney, and the doctor came out, and that doesn't really happen. The doctor came out and introduced himself to us, which was really odd because, again, that just doesn't happen. But he was just so invested with this young man, and those were the things he right away said to us. He wanted everybody to know how hard he worked and that he was out of breath. He was clearly, I don't want to say shaken, but just going. The adrenaline was going. He was going. So, and he introduced himself again, to everybody there. The judge was there because she has to pronounce the victim as deceased. And once she does that, that's when we can formally take him into our possession and transfer him to the medical examiner's office. So,
when you do this, did you know what had happened, or did you know?
No, so we get there, and you have to sign in, like on homicide cases or murder cases. The police, they're signing you in, whoever's there, whether it's the local police or the Texas Rangers or whoever's there, they sign you in. So we had to sign in, and then they took us to where he was at. And again, there's a lot of chaos going on. The detectives are there, the police, the hospital staff, the judge, excuse me, my staff. So we were there, and they take us to where he was at, and you can just tell. The writing was on the wall, literally, of what they tried to do and how hard they tried to save this young man's life. And we needed to get extra equipment from the hospital that we didn't have with us because we weren't prepared for going into an operating room that so much trauma had, been done to save him. So we had to lay sheets and plastic and things like that down in order to get in and out and to bring him with us because, we just had to keep everything to one area. We couldn't track things down the hallway. So
let me fill everyone in. If you're just joining, we're talking to someone who was involved in this case, the Curtis, I think it's Killeen case. She was part of the team that removed the deceased from the hospital. This is not from the crime scene. This is at the hospital after the doctors had tried to save his life. He wasn't pronounced dead until at the hospital, and so this is someone that was involved in the Curtis Killeen case. Let me ask you, could you see what had happened to him?
Yes.
And so, like, the video shows it, and was he shot in the head or the chest or?
Center mass.
So just straight center mass.
Straight center mass.
And it looked like, it was just straight. And so it was only one shot from a shotgun, but I don't know.
One shot.
Yeah. And so you guys remove him. When did you find out about what had happened?
Well, so on the scene, again, detectives are there. Well, not on the scene where it happened, but at the hospital. But everybody's there. So there's a lot of chatter and a lot of whispering. And so we kind of get in the know, if you will, and kind of hear things. And so they were like, well, where's the shooter at now? Because you're standing around talking, waiting for paperwork, photocopies, things like that. We're like, well, where's the guy? You know, you just ask those questions. Where's the guy? Where's the shooter? And they're like, oh, they got him down at the station. They're talking to him. Oh, is he arrested? Well, we don't know. They're talking to him. It could be self-defense kind of thing. So it's just like, oh, wow. Well, geez. He really defended himself. And so we didn't know at that point. Then so the process goes on. He comes into our care. We do what we have to do, and then the phone starts ringing. And we have the lines transferred to us because, again, we don't just stay at the office. And his sister's calling, and family members are calling, and there's different information. There's different laws you have to follow, degrees of kindred, who has authorities to do what. And it was just a strange and unique case because just things that normally happen didn't with this one. Like victims would pay. There's a victim advocacy with the county where they would pay. And then there was a question about that, whether he would receive it or not, where, you know, in some people's opinion, he was clearly a victim. And others people thought that he was the aggressor. So there was these red lines, and the community was divided, and there were rallies, and there was outcry, and it was a thing. It was a really big thing in that area about what happened. So I'm not there now. So now that the grand jury, I think, has cleared the shooter, I don't know what the local current events are.
Yeah, that's have you seen the video that they have?
I did, yeah. I actually had seen it. It came out really quick. That's just something that we would do. There's a lot in that area. Unfortunately, there is a lot of dots, and when we would find out who some of the people were in our care, we would, just be curious. And so we did look it up, and I believe it was his girlfriend, Beverly, who had posted the video because they wanted justice. It was immediate that things were just really... I don't know the law. I don't know those entities, but things were just different in this case for the family. So there was a lot of outcry and requests for information and answers. So it was. I do remember that the mortuary because we were in care of his body after the medical examiner's office completed the examination. We were in care of his body, but because of the Texas laws, we had to be very careful in who we released him to, because again of the laws, we were, liable. If we couldn't just release to a girlfriend. If they were married, we could, but because they weren't, so we had to go through degrees of kindred in order to release him to the family.
What are your opinions on what you've seen, what you saw happen with your own eyes when you were how everybody was acting and the stuff that was being said? What are your opinions on what happened?
I was a huge advocate for the family. I did everything that I could to make sure that they knew he was in safekeeping, that they knew how sorry we were on behalf of the mortuary that they were in that situation, that we were going to just, I firmly believe that, and that what's not put out there really, I don't know the specifics, but I do know it had to do with Curtis's dog. The shooter had got into a fight with his dog like a few days before. And so this guy, being a dog lover, this guy Curtis finally sees the neighbor guy from a few houses down and is like, hey, what's up? And confronts him, I think, as almost any dog owner would do. And it got escalated, but there were both opportunities for both guys to, cool off and back away. And one had a weapon and the other didn't. So,
yeah, it looks like it. Whether he was maybe driving down the road at the time.
Yeah, he was passing Curtis's house, and Curtis came out like, hey,
gotcha.
Let's talk. Like, what's up with why'd you do that to my dog? Like, what was up with that? So, and that's how it began that day when that happened. So there was already some some bad blood going on. And so when Curtis confronted the guy, like, hey, what'd you do? Why'd you do that to my dog?
That's where when I watched the video, even if however it came out, it looked like the guy had a couple of opportunities to get in his truck and drive away.
Yeah,
he definitely didn't do that. And then you hear that this guy is the son of a deputy, a woman deputy in Killeen, and
that's where the call was made to first, to that person,
Yeah. So do you know if I have to believe, but I don't know for sure. Did he leave the scene, or did he stay there and wait for officers to arrive after he shot?
I don't know 100%, and again, through the coconut wireless, it was said and shared, and I cannot for the life of me think of the exact words, but it was what was made my decision. Like, oh yeah, no, this guy killed this kid. Was along the lines like "F you and your dog." Like after he shot him, he said something like over his body, like, and then got in his truck and drove away. That was the coconut wireless that I heard, and that was what kind of confirmed it for me. Like, you know what? He knew what he was doing. Then he messes with the guy's dog. He gets confronted, and then he takes his anger out on him, makes a phone call to the family and law enforcement, gets talked to, not handcuffed, but talked to down in the station, and here this guy is. I mean, all the people that were affected, the doctors and the nurses and all the people that were there in that hospital trying to save his life, and they were clearly, like, defeated. And the judge, Judge Brown, she is an awesome lady. She will fight and try to get down to the bottom of it. And that's a whole nother thing, is they removed her as well. So she's not on the bench anymore, but that's a whole nother digression. But
whoa! So there was a judge that was there that was removed?
Not because of this case.
Oh, not because of this case. I got you.
I mean, she was a fantastic judge. If there was a death or a homicide, a murder, an unattended death in Bell County, she was sending that loved one down to the medical examiners for an autopsy. Not all the local counties do that. They just declare the death because they're JP. They can say, whatever. They don't have to send out for an autopsy. They can say, oh, it's evident in the nature of their passing, and sign off on it. But Judge Brown in Bell County, she was the judge that was on it. She spent the county's money to do for the county, and, some people didn't agree with her style and her way. So it was a sad day when I read that recently, that she's going to be removed from office. So who knows? Who knows what happens next?
Yeah, I don't know what can happen next, because since a grand jury has cleared him, and hasn't prosecuted any charges, I don't know if, I guess the family could appeal maybe up the ladder, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It's just it's a sad case, because that there was probably some tension already. There was probably some recorded history between these guys, obviously with the dogs and stuff like that. But then to watch what happened on video, and it is just it's hard to watch, one, because what's about to take place, and then to know that this thing took 2 years and no one was ever arrested, no one was ever, really held accountable. And the worst part about it is we have the whole thing on video, and so it's like, what are they denying? How could they, even if they said this dude was charging him, he can't even argue, like, he can't say anything, because they were 10 feet apart from each other, and one guy had a shotgun and one guy didn't have nothing. And so,
I mean, instead of going into the car to get your shotgun, if you feared for your life, wouldn't you have gotten to your car and drove away? Like, why did you grab your shotgun? Like, I would feel like a truck would have more power to get me out of a life-threatening situation than the gun would, if I really feared for my life.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know how. I don't even know because there was some. There's some legal people that were like, "There's no way that this thing would ever be a, a self-defense case in the sense of this guy just completely had a vehicle there open. It wasn't even like the guy was trying to block him from his vehicle. He like moved out of his way. The guy had put the gun down, could have got in his car and drove off. If the guy would have charged him, he could have used the gun like a club and clubbed the guy to death. But the guy didn't even charge him. So it's a crazy deal. So, well, thank you for a little bit of info. And more info than anyone else, for sure, to understand these things and to see like what you've seen with, I mean, you've seen a lot of bodies probably, but when it comes to something like this and then to hear the outcome, what do you kind of feel? Is that something that you already had a knowledge of, like kind of this weird maybe system that was happening down in Killeen, or is this a shock that this guy wasn't prosecuted, or are you like, oh yeah, of course he was buddies with so and so?
I mean, you would wish that somebody would be held accountable, but it's kind of like if you don't have an expectation, then you can't be disappointed. So I personally worked very closely with a lot of the different law enforcement agencies in the different counties out there. And I mean, I thought it was kind of cool. Like they were kind of weenies about touching the deceased bodies or the cases. They would get, kind of sick or weirded out. And so it was kind of cool to be able to have that one up on them. But nobody ever came off to me. I didn't ever feel like it was funny business. I just felt like with this Curtis Shelley, or when it's young kids or like stupid situations that could have been avoided, it's more anger and frustration that how people don't realize how valuable life is. And if there's no take backsies, like that's it. It's done. It's so permanent. So it kind of takes me to there. So like with Curtis, to see that case again, and when I seen the video, I immediately knew. I was like, oh yeah, that's Curtis Shelley, because you spend so much time speaking with the family members, speaking about them, seeing his name, all his information, social, date of birth coming through several times on different papers. And so, they do stay with you, and you kind of feel like you know them, and you just kind of think that maybe your thoughts and prayers kind of get them to where they need to be, and for whatever purpose or reason that it happened, that hopefully is the justice when things like this are the outcome.
Yeah. All right, girl. Hey, you look. Who was in the shirt on the beach?
That was my aunt.
I was wondering. We were all wondering because I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I don't even know who that is, but anyway, it was cool.
That
so
was actually Lisi's mom.
Oh, okay.
Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually her mom. So she's like, give me, I'll do it, I'll wear it. I was like, all right.
Fun stuff. All right. Well, thanks for talking with me a little bit today.
No problem. All right. We'll be in touch.
All right. We'll be in touch. Talk to you later.
Have a good one. Okay. Bye.
Well, if you're just joining, we just spoke with someone who worked for the coroner's office or the mortuary's office there during the time that this Curtis Shilling case happened. They're the ones who came and picked up the body at Fort Hood, and so you just got a little insight from the atmosphere in which was on that night. People chattering in the hallway, wondering where the shooter is. The shooter's down at the station, but he's not arrested. If you're just joining, we there's a couple of things that happened here, but this just came out a few days ago. I want to. What happened to my video here? Browse. looking for it. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe this one? No. This one. No, it's not that one. Grand jury. That's where it is. So if you're just joining, we played the raw video, but I really don't want to play the raw video again. So what I'm going to play for you is the grand jury's decision. It shows a little bit
Begins
of
tonight
it.
with breaking news. No charges have been filed in the shooting death of Killeen resident Curtis Shelley.
Shelley was shot and killed in November of 2017 by a neighbor following an argument, and the crime was caught on camera. Channel 6 News reporter Amani Payne has been following this story for the past 2 years. She joins us now with the very latest. Hi, Amani.
Chris and Leslie, District Attorney Henry Garza says a grand jury met today, looked over the case, and decided not to return an indictment in connection with the death of Curtis Shelley. 2 years after his death, his family says this is certainly not the outcome they were hoping for. Now, here's a look at some exclusive video of the crime back in November 2017. Shelley and his neighbor were arguing when that neighbor shot and killed Shelley. An investigation revealed that the suspect is the son of a Killeen police officer, and that's when the case was turned over to the Texas Rangers for review. Shelley's family says they feel like the suspect got away with murder. They don't understand why the gunman wasn't charged with anything when the shooting was captured on film. They say they are devastated and have no closure.
He prayed him like he was a deer, and then shot him like he was a deer. And it's just disgusting that absolutely nothing happened to him.
She goes on to say that she feels the suspect got off because of his ties to the Killeen Police Department. She also says that if the roles were reversed, she feels that Shelley would have been charged. We will have much more on this story and even more family reaction coming up tonight at 10. Chris and Leslie.
Man, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. That guy had all kinds of opportunities to walk away, to look, to get in his truck and go. And I don't know what the defense, I don't know what his attorneys, I don't know what. They may have not given this video to the grand jury. They may not allow that video to be entered in as evidence to the grand jury, because I don't know how a grand jury could look at that and somehow give a self-defense plea, even even if the guy was in the middle of the street blocking his way. He could have drove around, he could have gone a different way. You know, so when the guy backed off and he put the gun down, he could have gotten his car, shut the door, and drove off. And it looked like the kid had his hands in his pocket and was like, shoot me. And boom. How is that not murder? How is it not manslaughter? How is it not at least taken to the court system and gone before a jury trial? Oh, yeah. It's the son of a cop in a crooked little town with crooked little cops. I don't know. I really don't. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you didn't. We hunted down an interview with someone that was involved in this case, and it didn't make me any happier to talk to him. I love them. I'm glad. I really do. They have actually become friends of ours. So it was just, and I knew that she was involved in that area, but I didn't know she was tied to this case until just yesterday. So I was glad she kind of came on with us and talked to us a little bit. What do you guys think? It isn't murder. It isn't manslaughter, and it isn't anything crooked. or anything at all about law enforcement. How do you know that, Miss Mencia? If it's not murder, it's not manslaughter, it's not crooked cops, how does that dude walk away? That's what I'm trying to figure it out. If it isn't any of those, if it isn't, then what is it? Because what I just saw is a dude shoot a guy from 10 feet away, 6 feet away, you know. That was a fist fight about to happen, and a guy shot a guy. That's exactly what happened. It was a fist fight about a guy was about to get his ass kicked for killing or stabbing or hurting a dog, and he's a coward, and he got out of his truck with a gun. He could have kept driving. That kid would have got out of the way or got hit by a car. But to get out and shoot a guy in cold freaking blood, there's no way. There's no way. Yeah, the guy then said, F your dog. That's from the closest eyewitness anyone on this chat's got. Somebody that was there that night, somebody that picked up Curtis, said, oh yeah. And the kid was like, yeah, you and fuck your dog. Right after he shot him. Really? Really? And that dude walks away because mama's a cop. That's crooked cops. That's a crooked system. And if they didn't allow the video to be seen by the grand jury, I bet they didn't. I bet the grand jury didn't see that video. I bet they didn't let it go in because it had been shown in the news or it had been shown it was whatever. So it's a crooked. Guy with a shotgun and an unarmed kid. He looked like he was putting his hands in his pocket. He was taunting him. I'm not saying it was a smart kid. I'm not saying the incident could have been avoided by either of them. It could have. But you can't shoot people in cold blood in the middle of it. Wasn't like the kid was on his. It didn't look like the kid was on his property. He wasn't invading his house. He hadn't broke into his house. At best, they were on a public road. The guy got out of the truck and shot him. Had that been a road rage incident, that would have been cold-blooded murder. Had two people got out of their vehicles and boom, one ended up dead. Come on. You can't defend that. If you're defending this guy, and I don't know if you are, if you're defending this guy, it's a sad situation. It was two hotheads, and one murdered the other hothead and got away with it. We can both say it. That wasn't self-defense. There was no confrontation. There was no physical confrontation. There was no immediate threat. That guy was slowly backing away. Had that kid wanted to wrestle him, jump him, do whatever, it would have been evident on that video. At best, the kid was taunting him, and the guy shot him in cold blood. At best. Maybe he could have got up there and said we were having an argument, a taunting argument. The gun went off by accident. But then to say you and fuck your dogs, come on. You can't defend that. How you got to look at that and go, shh. I know the cops get away with it all the time. The cops shoot people all the time for saying, oh, they're coming at us, or they had a knife, or they whatever, right? We've had cops shoot a kid in the back of a car because they were like, oh, I got out of my car and tried to stand in the middle of the road and he almost ran me over. Well, that was, yeah, dumb move by the kid. But then he wrecks. He swerves and you shoot him in the back. Come on. Come on. What I just saw was a kid get gunned down in cold blood because there was two hotheads. Even if they were fighting, even if it was a knockdown brawl fight, that dude had plenty of time to turn around and run. If he thought his life was in danger, he could have turned around and ran. There was plenty of opportunities for that. He had a loaded shotgun pointed at a kid, and the kid had his hands to his side, and he shot him center mass. That's murder. Well, or it's not, according to the grand jury. So, that's craziness. So much craziness in the world. So much craziness. So much craziness. Uh-oh. Miss Mencia got deleted. Timed out. Watch out. Miss Mencia was hidden by Jays for Justice. Gone. Damn, what is everybody? How many messages are getting deleted? It's not bullying, Miss Mencia. Is one comment, and you did it yourself, and you're doing it again. What happened? Reaching in the pocket could have been for a gun or a knife. Oh, come on. Come on. We can't. Is everybody getting... What is going on? I think I'm going to time out that one too. I'm going to put in timeout. Because you can. Because I can. If they're having to delete comments, everybody should go to timeout. Do y'all really have to go to timeout? You kids. I don't care. I really don't care. Wrench got wrenched. Uh-oh. Who got wrenched? The wrench got... Oh. Y'all don't... Y'all look what... How is there drama in my freaking chat over this? Because one person defends him? No, y'all could have left her. She could have kept going, but oh well. I know y'all bullying each other around, women. I don't even care anymore. About to take all my wrenches away. I'm teasing. I don't care. Oh! Unbelievable. Why is everybody getting timed down? What's going on in chat, ladies? Jeez. I don't even know what the... they might just be trolls. They might just be killing trolls before they even get in here. That's the problem. Oh. I'm going to see what happens when I let my chats go wild. I want to see what this one was, though. Hashtag trust me, Jay says. That's funny. I believe you. I'm not. I'm just laughing about it. I can laugh about it, though, for sure. Oh. Y'all missed some fun lives last night. We started with Jay. Then we went into the 2 o'clock in the morning. If y'all missed it, y'all missed it. I think one of them ended up disappearing. It was a good one too. But nonetheless, who is the grand jury? Miss Murder asks. A grand jury is made up of I don't know who the grand jury was in this case, but a grand jury is, it's like it goes before a panel of, I think, judges, but I could be wrong. Grand jury in Texas. Killeen case. I believe it's a panel of people that look at the evidence and decide if they're going to, generally speaking, a jury, no, I want to see it. A grand jury is different from a more commonly known jury trial. A grand jury is used to aid in determining whether criminal charges should be brought against a suspect in a given crime. When a grand jury is called, the prosecutor will work to explain the laws to the jury. So, a Texas grand jury, from the more commonly known jury, a grand jury is to aid determine criminal charges should be brought against a suspect in a given crime. When a grand jury is called, the prosecutor will work to explain laws to the grand jury. The jury here have broad discretion regarding evidence that can be obtained. They may also question any witnesses they feel to testify at this time. One may describe a grand jury hearing to be more relaxed than the more common jury trial. This increased flexibility comes from the fact that the parties brought before the grand jury will typically not have attorneys present, and general rules of evidence are not required during the grand jury proceeding. Furthermore, grand jury proceedings are held in confidence and closed the public. The practice has allowed for witnesses to answer more candidly when questioned by prosecutors. In addition, this confidentiality proceeding ensures that the suspect's privacy will be protected if the grand jury determines that the charges should not be brought against the suspect. Keep in mind, however, that the grand jury determination is not the final step in the process. Oftentimes, prosecutors will employ the grand jury process as a means to execute a test run for any future trials, and will observe the grand jury proceedings closely and take note of any relevant information that may be helpful for the future jury trial. Lastly, a prosecutor may disagree with the grand jury and choose to ignore the grand jury's determination of the facts. Texas grand jury proceedings. Texas law describes the relevant policies and procedures related to a grand jury. To begin with, there are only certain individuals who are allowed in the grand jury room. These individuals include jurors, bailiffs, the attorney who is representing the state, witnesses when necessary, interpreters when necessary, stenographers, and video operator. Related to the list of individuals who are allowed in the room during a grand jury proceeding is the element of recording certain testimony. When questions are asked to witnesses by either the grand jury or the attorney, the response shall be recorded through the use of stenography or electronic recording. One grand jury proceedings have concluded, the state's attorney will keep the record minus the stenography's notes, confidentiality, and Texas grand juries. As previously mentioned, grand jury proceedings are kept secret and confidential. Texas law has held that any individual who violates the process shall incur penalties. For example, any jury, bailiff, interpreter, stenographer, or device operator who discloses anything transpiring before the grand jury, regardless of whether it is being recorded, is punished by a fine for as much as $500 and or in prison for no more than 30 days. While those proceedings are kept confidential, a defendant may petition the court to disclose of information depending on the circumstances. Generally, this involves a judicial proceeding. This petition must be filed in the district court where the case proceeding is pending. A copy of the petition must be given to the attorneys representing the state, all parties to the judicial proceeding, as well as any other individuals required by the court. Witness, Texas grand jury closed the proceedings. There you go. That's what a grand jury is, Miss Murder. I hope I answered your questions. Jay, you have no idea. I slept in my bed. I went to bed and slept. Woke up in my bed. Is my time out over yet? Maybe not. Maybe I'll time you out again just because I can. Make you leave after shot. No, I did not sleep here. J is for justice based on random observation. It is his official new name. Whose official new name? EMS Coffee, Convoy, Hey Girl, I'm murdering Killeen on video. Pancake. Is Pancake here? Last night was good. I'm about to let my chat go. I'm about to remove. Y'all are all going to go crazy. But I'm doing it. It's happening right now. It's going to go crazy in here from now on, kids. No rules. No rules. No rules. No rules. Did I get everybody? That's gonna be fun. Watch out. Watch out. It's gonna go crazy. All right. Thanks for joining. We're here 53 minutes and we're out. Booyah. End the stream. Oh, wait. I got to end with a good